All right, so welcome to our Admitted African American Student Experience call today. We're happy if you're able to listen in on this call. Maybe today is Friday, April 17th, and so we're excited to be here to share our afternoon with you. And to introduce myself, my name is Leo Sun. I'm the coordinator of retention initiatives and summer programs here at CSU Channel Islands. I've been at this institution for about 3 years now, and I've worked in admissions previously. And being in this role right now allows me to work with some of the programs and initiatives that we have on our campus, such as our summer programs, like our African American Transitions Academy, our African American Enrichment Academy, and some of our mentorship programs that we have during the semester for our students currently. So we have a couple student of color mentoring programs that connect students of color with other students. So I can speak more on behalf of that later on, but I'd like to introduce all the other student volunteers and also my supervisor who's on this call today, Ms. Tracy Adams Johnson. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tracy Adams Johnson, and my pronouns are she and her, and I am really excited to be here. I serve as the Director of Student Success and Outreach Programs, and I have the honor of being able to help support students as they're transitioning to and through our university. I think it's significant for us to recognize that as first-generation college students, well, really as second and third generation college students, you need support when you're coming to college. There's so many different issues and concerns that you may have. And the reason for that is because you haven't been to college before. So as we see you come on campus, as you're here and we try to support you, we're here for you to ask questions. Ask what it's like, what does this mean? Ask for guidance. And when you're asking for the support, you ask for that support through faculty in your classroom, the staff that surround you in a variety of programs. But the students are really your best indication in many ways on how to navigate the campus. As they are navigating at the same time, they may have similar experiences, maybe similar challenges as you. How do I get registered for this class? Where is this classroom located? So it's really great for you to connect with students. And I invite you to listen to the students that are on this call right now, because they're doing it. They're in the process of it right now, and they're doing it very successfully. So I am excited that you're joining with us. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. But welcome, and thank you for considering CI.
All right, and so we have 4 great student leaders that we have here today. They're all different years and involved differently on our campus here, and they're all reporting in from their different locations as well too, as we're navigating this virtual environment here. So I'll go ahead and kick it off. Why don't we go ahead and introduce you, Taylor? Tell us who you are and what you're all about.
Hi, my name is Taylor Duncan. I am a liberal studies major. I am a 3rd year, and I am from the Bay Area. And that's a little bit about me so far.
Awesome, thank you. And then I will bounce over to this other side of the screen. We have Courtland Briggs here today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Courtland Briggs. I'm a political science major, and I'm a 1st year, and I'm from Camarillo.
Cool. Thank you, Courtland. And then we'll just go ahead and jump down here. We have Maya with her new lovely hairdo today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm in the middle doing my passing twist, so that's why I got my scarf on. But hi, my name is Maya Rain. I'm a 4th year here at CSU CI, and I'm majoring in English with an emphasis in creative writing.
Cool, thank you. And last but not least, we have also another one of my student assistants. We have Angel Marie.
Hello, I'm Angel Marie Taylor. I'm a 1st year here at CI. I'm a business major with an emphasis in management. It's nice to see you guys.
Cool, thank you. Well, we're excited to have you all here, and I think what's cool is that we really get a different perspective. Every day so far this week we've had this call, and we've had different students who, mix of students who've been here. So some are 1st years, some are 3rd years, some are graduating seniors. Some of them are in their 4th year going on to their 5th year, and that was just like me when I was going to school in my undergrad. It was an interesting transition because as a 1st generation college student, how many of you in here are 1st generation college students, at least on this call? I am. Angel Marie. Okay, we're representing in here. So as a 1st generation college student, that means we're the 1st in our family generation to go to college. And so when I first went to college, I know it was different because I didn't have my parents or brothers necessarily ask, how that process was coming in from high school over to college. And so I know for some of you third and fourth years here, Taylor and Maya, y'all have been in college for a couple of years now, so you can kind of reach back in your memory banks. I kind of want to ask you, how was that transition from you for you going from high school to college? I know there's a lot of differences in terms of, maybe how the classroom is run, what classes you're in, how the homework is. So can you speak a little bit about that transition process for you? I'm just opening it up.
I would say I'll go into more the academic side of it. So going into college or high school to college was definitely very fearful. I was kind of pretty fearful for it because I would say I was sheltered in high school or my K through 12 learning, and I had an enormous amount of support. And I have a learning challenge. I have dyslexia, so I had an individual education plan, which basically means that I had like a team of people helping me navigate my learning disability and make sure that I was always supplied with the best sort of resources to create the best success for my education. So going into college, me and Maya work for the Retention, Outreach, and Inclusive Student Services, which is a branch over a bunch of other programs that we have to offer. So one of those programs is the DOS Center, which is the Disability Center, is where particularly they work with kids or students, with learning disabilities, with emotional support that they need. So anytime that a student really needs that extra support for their education, they deliver that. So I was able to give my IEP, my individual education plan, to CI, and they looked it over and provided me with almost the same amount of support and everything that was basically on my IEP, I got that at CI. So my class sizes going into that was great. I got to connect with a lot of my peers. I think it's very important for students to connect with peers in their first year or through their whole experience through college. Make sure you have like 1 to 2 students to really connect with in your classroom. Choosing classes is hard. I know that when I was in high school, I was a part of a college prep program, so they helped me navigate my whole experience through, into college and still follow me in college. So I know that if I didn't have that, I would be lost. So I would definitely reach out to the resources that we have on campus. We have a thing called academic advising, where they will sit down with you and go over what you are interested in and what class, general education classes that you should step into. So they will really help you navigate that list of things that you need to do for your first semesters of college. Sure. And stuff. So yeah.
Cool. No, thank you for sharing that. I think it's different. I know it was different for me, understanding okay, not only am I picking my own classes, but I don't know what any of these classes are going to be like. I don't know who's teaching those classes per se. And so I'm curious to kind of get your perspective on that, Cortland, as a first year student here at CI. When you're choosing your classes, did you have any anxieties when you're okay, well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to pick, or what should I pick? I don't want to pick the wrong ones. What happens if I pick one and I don't like the professor? How was that experience for you?
It is definitely a new one, because in high school and just K through 12 in general, you're used to they send you oh, you have this class. You don't really get to pick much. And so when you get to college and you go through and you're seeing literally hundreds of classes, it's a little overwhelming at first. Mm-hmm. And then when you go to look at it, you need your major specific, but then you need extras. And so it's just kind of a little confusing. And so that's why I think when Taylor said academic advice, I think that's a really great way to go, because it is going to be super confusing. And yes, there are classes that you have to take as for your GEs, but it's maybe it's not one that you want to, but it's one that you kind of have to. But then with academic advice, they can help you find maybe a professor that you can connect with. And that's why I was just a peer advisor more than just an actual, because a peer advisor is someone who is currently a student, and that they can help you be oh, well, I had this professor and they taught it in a way that was really understanding to me, and maybe you can give it a shot. And with that, so when you sign up for classes, you have about a 2-week time period where you can drop and add classes still. So say you've given it a week and you and your professor just like there's just something about it, or like the class isn't for you, you are able to drop that class and pick it up and pick up a different one without receiving a W, and that's a withdrawal. But
Also
yeah, definitely.
say, oh, sorry, I don't.
No, go ahead.
You off.
No, go ahead.
No, I'll stop you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good, Taylor.
No, I was just gonna add to that. See, I already forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind, Krillin. Please don't let me do that to you.
And it's like as a freshman, it is definitely difficult to navigate a little bit, because I feel like it's really easy to get lost in it, and it's hard knowing exactly what you need. And that's why academic advising is great, because they'll show you what your car report is, and that will literally show you what you need to do for your major, for your GEs. And so yeah, I would just really advocate the academic advising.
Also with academic advising, they can help you learn this. I learned this freshman year, so incoming freshmen. If you already decided that you like something and you're ready to major with something, when you come in, you can also see what GE classes matches with your major classes, so you're not taking double the amount of classes.
Double dipping.
If that makes sense. Yeah. So so that's honestly what I did to stay on like a 4-year track, which isn't like, it doesn't like, that doesn't really matter. But if you really care about like, in terms of, I know for a 4-year track, it's like more important for me because financial things come into place. So like really knowing which GEs match with your major is super important. So that's also something I wanted to.
Sure.
Also, as an incoming freshman, the reason that it was a little bit more easier for me than my friend Courtland here is because as an incoming freshman, most of the freshmen tend to attend this event called freshman orientation. And I know for me, I was one of the first students who got to attend freshman orientation where they had just implemented a new system where we actually select our courses during the orientation. So I think on the second day that you attend orientation, you select your courses. And for me, that was everything. I would have never been able to select all the courses I need because you need to keep track of your GEs, you need to keep track on classes you need to get your major. And as Taylor was saying, like there are some classes that you can double dip with. During that little presentation where they taught us how to do that, they pretty much taught us like, okay, you can, like they'll come to you specifically and like, oh, per se you're a business major, like here, take this and this, and it will double. Like they'll tell you. You have faculty members there, like advisors who know what they're doing, and then they also have peer mentors there, like right next to you, and like, oh, I have that professor, or oh, maybe you want to go with that class instead, based on your major. So if all this is too much for you, don't worry, they'll give you a rundown of it in orientation. So that was super helpful for me.
Yeah, see, and for me, like I wasn't able to attend orientation, and so that's really where my biggest issue came in, is having to find what classes I needed.
Now, those are great perspectives, and I think what I'd like to ask Maya is kind of on the other end of the spectrum. So Cortland, Angel Marie, first-year students now. Maya, you're a 4th-year student now. So have you found it to become an easier process for you as you've gone through it, and even going beyond picking your classes? Like how has it been for you, like getting to know students in your classes, maybe within your major, or getting to know students who maybe have common interests as you, just kind of bonding, like you get to know someone in maybe a GE class and you find out that, hey, like they are also interested in like joining our BSU, like Black Student Union, or they're in it and they kind of help you like expose you to that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience with those?
Like in class, like it was fine. Like, the first, second, third week, like everybody's still trying to transition. So sometimes you don't really talk to them during the first and third week. But like after the third week, it kind of, who's going to be in that class for like the entire semester. So then it's easier to get to know people and talk to them and everything. Bless you, Taylor. Didn't hear it, but I seen it. Okay, caught it. Okay. And basically, like, I feel like it's easier, like, in high school for me, because you were asking about, like, the transition from high school.
Yeah.
Like, socially, high school was a lot more, like, I guess scarier for me in a way, because people are, not because they're younger, but they're more immature, and they don't really understand when someone might be culturally different than you are. So it's kind of limiting in a way. Like I didn't really feel like I could be 100% authentically me in high school, because even though we're a small percentage here at CSUCI, we were even smaller at my high school. And I just, you feel that kind of difference there with the racial. But at CSUCI, I don't really feel that. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I really just feel like I'm able to be authentically me. Like, I can wear my hair in a natural state and nobody, like, okay, in high school, everybody would want to touch my hair. It was very disturbing. It felt like I was in a petting zoo. But at CSUCI, I have not one person ask me to, like, touch my hair. And, like, it was weird, but there's more boundaries in college when you step into it. And that's what I really noticed, that people are more so to themselves. They have their own business to take care of. So you're able to kind of feel like, okay, like if I make a mistake, not everybody's going to know about it. It's not going to be a big deal, because there's older people now in college and we're all adults. So we know a lot better now. And it was really nice getting to know people. There wasn't that kind of different, like there's obviously different cultures, but it was more celebratory than like
negative stigmas or
yeah. So it was really nice. Basically the transition was more welcoming, more warm, and I really enjoyed it. I'm still enjoying it.
For sure. No, thank you for sharing that. I think with our campus, and we talked about this in some of our previous sessions that are recorded and that we've posted, about our actual campus climate, about like what the population is like here. For those of you who maybe don't want to click on the other ones, which is totally fine. We're a more intimate campus here. We have about 7,000 students, which isn't a huge amount by any means. We're the second smallest state school, CSU, here. And being a smaller size, I mean, you really get that more intimate environment, get to talk one-on-one. But even though it's a small environment here, smaller, you really get to still have that real college experience here. Kind of a lot of people say that it's a public school, but it feels more like a private school kind of environment where it's like, a lot more small class size and things like that. So that's awesome to share. Thank you all for giving us your perspectives on it. Something else I know for me, and we had talked about earlier, was some of the barriers that we had coming in. And so, what were some of the other barriers that maybe, you didn't expect to face, or maybe you did expect to face coming into college that, maybe it took a while to figure out, in terms of how to navigate, but what's something else that you think, you had to face coming in? Just gonna leave it open to anyone.
You know what? To this day, it's so confusing for me to find my classes in Bell Tower. Bell Tower is a maze to me. And I have to be like, okay, I have to still look at like the whole map, and I still get lost and everything. So you might get lost on like your first few weeks. That's fine, because obviously it's your first few weeks and you're still learning like the navigation, like what's South Quad, what's North Quad, Central Mall, library. Okay, 246, 9 at like Bell Tower and stuff like that. Like it's a small campus, so it's not like UCLA or anything, but you still get a little bit lost. But after a while, you'll get the routine of it. You'll be like, okay, I know where my class is. But even if you get lost like every semester, that's totally fine. I have friends that have said, ooh, I get lost in Bell Tower too. So I was like, ooh, I'm glad it's not just me. But yeah, you might get lost.
I didn't know Bell Tower until I started working in Bell Tower, and I still barely know Bell Tower. So, and we're third or fourth year, so I understand.
Same. I work in Bell Tower, and it's still confusing for me.
Yeah.
A barrier that I faced personally coming into college as a first generation student, I didn't understand the finances of everything. When I told myself that if I'm going to go to college, I'm definitely going to want to live on campus, it would just be more secure for me. I thought that was a smarter plan. And I remember as I was going through my housing application, they were expecting a down payment from me, and I had no idea what that was. There was like $1,500. I really just didn't know what it was. I thought that was like oh, you start paying for your college dorm now, like just lots of little things like that that came up. I really didn't understand the purpose of a FAFSA. I didn't know how much to expect from my FAFSA. For those of you who don't know, FAFSA is your financial aid.
You're not putting that on me. I don't know the whole
It's
yeah.
Well, pretty much it sums up how much financial aid you should be expecting to receive from the school based on your income and so forth. I didn't know that. So I had to find all of that out sort of like last minute, and that was one of the barriers for me. Overcoming that barrier, though, I was able to do that because of a summer program that I joined here at CSUCI. It's called the African American Transitions Academy, and they went over that. They went over other financial things, like any questions that you had, really, you could just ask during the academy, and I got to get a lot of know-how in that area as well as many other areas that I was struggling with. So.
it's the free application for federal student aid.
There we go.
I was about to say it too, Cortland.
Extra credit. I'm sure you both knew that off the top of your heads, but no, yeah, I mean, I think finances is interesting. I mean, I think that's something that we hesitate to bring up sometimes, but it's kind of the elephant in the room. We all know that paying for college isn't something that's just like, even way back in my day when I was going to college, it still wasn't cheap. It's cheaper than it was now. But it was still something where, again, I grew up in a family where it was a single mother with 3 kids, all of us, with aspirations to go to college, and she barely speaks English, and so she had to work 3 part-time jobs at minimum wage. Now, I wasn't quite sure how I would be able to pay for college, but I knew I wanted to go. And so, like Angel Marie was saying, like, how, the FAFSA seems so like daunting to me, even right now, it's like, if I was a high school senior, and I maybe haven't filled out the FAFSA, or I'm not sure what's supposed to happen now that I have filled it out, it's kind of scary. And but again, I really had to find a creative way to deal with paying for finances and even having to talk about it. I think sometimes like we don't think it's real until we actually talk about it. It's like, oh well, it'll come. Like I'll deal with it later. But then when it finally does come up, it's like, all right, well, okay, now that we have to face it, we're young adults now and we have to pay for this somehow. So how do we do that? So how are some of, the ways that y'all kind of manage that in terms of like, navigating these scary financial waters?
I agree with all of that. I also feel like when I was like going into the financial aid process, like for me personally, like I don't mind sharing like a little bit. I am like very middle class. So like FAFSA doesn't see that I need aid. So like I didn't receive any aid yet. Like my parents do really need help with like, cause like, other like families have different responsibilities and like different things that may not feel like, and I feel like no school or no family can really pay unless you're like $30,000 to $40,000 worth of student loans and everything. So that's just a lot like to keep in mind. So my biggest advice is applying for any scholarship that you can, and just really like pushing that forward, because I know that like for me personally, scholarships is what pays my bills, and loans is what like you don't want to drown yourself in loans. So really like pushing scholarships and looking for that is important. I know that personally for the Multicultural Dream Center where me and Maya work, we have certain links that we put out, I think monthly, where we provide a list of scholarships. So I know that's something that we do personally, but just like I was just saying before, just pushing out scholarship links is a big thing.
So mute myself here. So as far as finances and navigating that stuff, I wanted to ask Cortland this. So as far as looking for on-campus job, I know we had a session and that you had attended it specifically, and it was about African Americans in the workplace, and navigating those waters. Can you talk about that a little bit? Of what some of the things you remember from that, and what your process was like looking for a job to help you school?
So for the African Americans in the workplace, it was this really nice little meeting where we talked about what it's like to be an African American in the workplace, because clearly we face different challenges that aren't brought up, that people don't want to talk about. But, I feel like it is important to talk about that. Maybe we are getting treated differently or something, and how to really stand up for yourself and like do it in a way that is professional. And so you're not, just going out there and looking crazy, but you're doing it in a very professional way. And for me, looking for a job, so CI has this really awesome thing called the Dolphin Career Link. And if you go on there, they have jobs posted. And not only do they have on-campus jobs, they have jobs like around the community, and they even have internships. And so you can go there. It's in your portal, in your CI portal, and you just got to go look for it. It's called Dolphin Career Link. And so it's just a really nice place where you can be like, okay, like you can filter out what type of jobs, like, and there's also a thing called Career Journey that it will help you put in your major, you put in what interests you, and like it will help you be like, oh, maybe this will be good for you. And it's just, so CI actually has really cool things with helping students find a job, and I was fortunate enough to find the job that I have.
Thank you.
And if I
What
could just
about,
add on.
yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. So adding on to that, thanks to the Dolphin Career Link, like for me, I never felt like I struggled with finding a job, like with it being on campus or like within the community. What for me I struggled with was attaining that job. So like things that I could put on my resume. So going through that process really taught me the importance of like involvement, volunteering, achievements, all that sort of thing. So
Thank you. Thank you. What about for Maya and Taylor? I know you both had mentioned that you both work in the same office. And so, what was that process like for you, as now you're upperclassmen and now you're looking for a job? And, what was that transition like for you? So now that you're spending a lot more time on campus, how was that?
So I really wanted a job my sophomore year going into my junior year, because I was really like, okay, like I need to get a job. I want to get more involved. Mainly, also, it was more like I wanted to get involved with CI more. So I knew that an on-campus job would be the most beneficial. And plus, I didn't know if I would have a car at the time. So my friend actually worked for the AVP ROI office previously to me working there. So that's why I really pushed in the beginning of our talk, like building connections with people in my class, because the friend that worked there was a friend in one of my classes that I got really close to. And she recommended me to this job, and she had me have a sit-down meeting with Dr. Osiris, which is our AVP, which is our Associate Vice President of the department. So that's really how I got locked in with this job. And then I got to find how to utilize Dolphin Career Link, as how Cortland was saying, and it's so beneficial because it's so clear and tells you everything that you need to do, and like it's just easy to access, and like it's right in our portal. So adjusting to this job was awesome, and I think we'll talk more about that, but I want to let Maya speak a little bit about it too.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So basically, I work with Taylor, ROI AVP, but I also work with Leo in the computer lab. And with Leo in the computer lab, basically, he came to both Taylor and I in fall 2019. And it was supposed to be just for like 2 to 3 weeks that we worked in the computer lab. And it ended up being for a whole year for me, and then Taylor a whole semester. But she could talk about her, don't want to speak for her. But for me, it was a whole year, and I really enjoyed it. The computer lab is something that is started new in fall of 2019, and it's a really nice, quiet place for students to be able to study, and they could also print. You do have to print at a Firos printer in the hallway, but that's not an issue. It's literally right down the hall. And for the ROI AVP, I had a summer job at a boutique, and I was talking to my friend Isaiah Ball, woo woo, and he'll probably never see this, but I was talking to him, and he was saying how he thought that I would kind of grow and do better if I worked on campus, and I didn't really know like any place on campus that was hiring at the time. And he told me about the ROI AVP office that was, and he sent me a link with an email, so I was able to send my resume and everything. And the interview process was really nice. I met Kristen there. I met Dr. Osiris, and I met Laura at the time. She doesn't work there anymore. But they were all very nice, very sweet. It was kind of nerve-wracking because all interviews for me are nerve-wracking, but it was very relaxed. They wanted me to just stay calm because it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, that's basically it for me. That's how I got my job. So.
You know, Maya, you mentioned a great point about an interview, and just something here with CI, with having it be smaller. Like for me, before like just preparing for my interview, I was actually able to sit down with actually Leo and like kind of go over like just not like what to do in an interview in a professional setting, like just kind of help you out to work on a resume, just kind of make sure that you are looking professional. And there's even another great place, the Career Center, where that they can help you. They'll do like a mock interview with you. And they actually even have a program where they people donate professional clothes to them so that people can rent them out if you don't have anything. And so the Career Center is a really cool place because they'll help you make a cover letter, a resume, and they'll even do mock interviews with you. And then if you are lucky enough to have a mentor, mentors are really helpful too because they will totally sit down with you and help you for the interview process.
Cool. Angel, did you have anything you wanted to share about that? So you unmute yourself for a second.
I was going to bring up the Career Center, but Corlin pretty much covered everything I was going to discuss.
I think it's really important to utilize your time in college. Again, I've mentioned this, I think, in all of the talks we've had so far this week, but just about that when you're in college, like, yeah, the classroom part of it is very important, like learning the material, connecting to material, figuring out maybe what your passion is and what you want to pursue later on. But just as importantly is getting involved in doing stuff while you're on campus, whether it's finding a job to help pay the bills. A lot of people, I know for me, when I first found a job in college as an undergrad student, I did it just because, I needed some money, and so after, I got that job, I learned like, wait, okay, I'm actually getting a lot more out of this than just some money. Like I'm learning skills that I can apply to jobs in the future. I'm connecting with staff and faculty members I maybe didn't have that connection with before. That'll really help me kind of connect later on if I need to find a full-time job. And so it was only after that I ended up working in this field of higher education and student affairs, is because of the work I did when I was just a student looking to pay the bills. And so for me, like it wasn't a direct journey for me going from graduating to working in this field now. It was kind of a weird path, and I jumped around. I taught English overseas, and I sold office supplies. I did all kinds of weird stuff where I came back. But I'm curious for you as students here, some of you here now are first year, some of you are graduating the next year or two. What are some of the things that, are your goals that you want to pursue after you're done? Maybe you already know, or maybe you're still exploring, but, what are some things that you've thought about that you want to pursue and accomplish with your life afterwards?
I know that I really want to be a speech pathologist, so I'm an education manager, I'm a liberal studies major, so education, and a speech pathologist basically works with children or students that have learning disabilities, but mainly where their first language isn't English per se, or they have like dyslexia or other things that may interrupt their speech. And I know that just working and then the NDC or working for ROI really helped me create personal business skills and creating how to talk to people like your supervisors, because I feel like I have way more supervisors working in the position of an ROI student assistant rather than like an NDC student assistant, because I have so many supervisors. So really knowing how to talk to people in higher power than you, and like communication skills is so important, because I know that with my position, when I go into further education, I will really need to talk to parents about their children. And that's really a hard thing to do, like telling a parent about their kid, how they may approach that, and like different experiences like that. So really my job, I feel like has helped me build communication skills that I didn't have prior, and just learning about different places on campus and just different relationships and creating new mentors and such like that has made be the person I am today because of my job working in the AVP ROI office.
We knew that having more supervisors is a good thing, right? But yeah, who else? Who else would like to go about your plans and future goals and things you want to do?
I can. So, one thing that I want to do, like, as in, like, because I'm a political science major and I want to use that to become a lawyer. And so I know one thing I really want to do, and I know CI will help me with this because I know my mentors will be all about it, is definitely getting an internship to a law firm and something, just so I can be in the realm and see how it really works. And I know I mentioned this before, and one thing I really can't wait is to be a mentor to someone. Like, that is, to me, it's like, I just really can't wait. Like, I cannot, because I'm part of mentoring programs where I have a mentor, and I know it's really helpful for me. And I even have some peer mentors that I really connect with. Like Maya said, Isaiah Ball, he's great, lovely person. And if you get to meet him, it will be wonderful. I would suggest you meet him. And I just know that I can't wait. Yeah, pretty much to be a mentor to someone else so I can help them navigate CI and really show them connections.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney.
Okay. For me, so basically, like, long term, I would like to be a fashion journalist, and like right after, I guess next year when I graduate, I'd like to do an internship, maybe somewhere at like Teen Vogue or somewhere that's an online store in LA. Do like a little internship either for writing or just anything really, because I feel like networking is really important. It's about what you know, but it's also definitely about who you know. And I feel like if I add kind of people into my roster that I kind of know that can maybe link me to someone else that they know, then that would be really good too. And it could kind of work to the benefit to the place that I want to be. So that's basically it.
For me, after I graduate, I'm looking to have a managerial position somewhere, hopefully at a technical company. So I'm looking for Google. That's like my number one. That would be really cool. Work with Google, if not, some other large tech company. What my job does for me now in regards to achieving that goal is, like, everyone's been touching up on, like, networking. Like, it's so essential. Like, the skills that I get from my job, it's not just from having the job itself. It's really just from meeting people, talking to people, like working with big tech companies. I've never really actually been good with technological things, but my boss, like, he's whiz at the keyboard, just watching him, asking little things like that helps a lot. You learn things from people you didn't expect to learn things from. And I feel like just having a job, just that experience, like, really gives you that.
Sure. No, those are all good points. I mean, I think, I know for me, I didn't really know what networking was when I was going into college. I just know that I was kind of, a student that was really into gaming and all that stuff. So when people talk about networking in college, I was like, oh, cool. So we're going to like hop on the network and play games a lot. Like, is that what networking is? And it took me a while to kind of understand, no, well, networking doesn't just mean that. It means like, social networking. So I'm like, oh, good. I'm good at Facebook too. I could do that. It's like, no. It's actually about making those connections with people and, guiding them and being guided. And, like Courtland was saying, having a mentor or, wanting to become a mentor, it's about giving back, right? Yeah. So I also want to open it up as well to, I want to kind of provide a platform for y'all to speak to a little bit about, as an African-American student here, we had a participant who joined one of our calls earlier this week, and they had asked about what it was like being an African-American student or just being an African-American person here in our area over here, CSU Channel Islands. We're in Camarillo, California, so that's halfway between Santa Barbara and LA, right by the coast. They had asked about, what was it like being in this area as an African-American person and student on our campus. And so I'd like to give you all an opportunity to talk a little bit about that, what it's been like for you here. And even Tracy too, if you'd like to chime in as well too. I know you're new-ish to our area as well. So please, I'd love to hear your perspectives.
So I'd be willing to share, and just this is my perspective in coming to Southern California. I'm not from California at all. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I relocated here in July to take this position here at CSU CI. And I think that as an African-American woman who spends a lot of time and was very, very connected to the African American community in Colorado. It was a bit of a challenge transitioning. Percentage-wise, there's a significantly smaller percentage of African Americans that live in Camarillo as compared to Denver, where I'm from. And even in the county, it's still a really small percentage. And so when I think about how I feel, it is awkward not going to the grocery store and seeing other people that look like you, or going and finding either hair care products or food or any type of resources that I'm accustomed to seeing. I think you don't realize what you see until you don't see it anymore and you're looking for it. But trying to hunt down the right store to find the hair care products I use, or calling around and trying to find out whether or not there's a soul food restaurant or where I can listen to, jazz music or things of that nature. So it's definitely different, but it's also a really great environment. I don't feel uncomfortable where I am. I don't feel as though I've been othered significantly in the community. And so I do appreciate that. It's a very quiet, very safe neighborhood. I don't remember the last time I heard an emergency vehicle, right? And where I came from, we lived around the corner from the fire station. So that was normal for me to hear that. So Camarillo, and specifically CI's campus, is one of the most peaceful, beautiful places I've ever been. And that's hard for me to say because I think Colorado is the best. But when you look at what we're surrounded by, we've got green hills everywhere. We're 15 minutes from the beach. If you look east, you'll see snow in the mountains. I mean, it's just everything that you can kind of take in and really enjoy in Southern California. So my perspective, again, is as a person relocating, an African-American Black person relocating to Southern California and living in Camarillo. It's been a very different experience. And when you find community, the community is really eager to support you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that I feel as though I've been welcomed into the Camarillo community, the Ventura County community, and I'm excited to be able to be here.
I feel like I can connect really well to what Miss Tracy was saying in terms of relocating and being in a completely different area. So like I said, am from the Bay Area, so being in SoCal was honestly like a huge difference for me because of Camarillo being such a small area, isolated in a way, but very quiet. And I'm from the Bay Area, and specifically my community, I'm from East Palo Alto. So Palo Alto is more of like Silicon Valley, or East Palo Alto is now, but Palo Alto is more of where Stanford is. East Palo Alto, Menlo Park is where Facebook headquarters, Google headquarters. So all these tech companies is where I'm from, but specifically East Palo Alto was more of like where like Black people lived and where Hispanics live, and there's a lot of police brutality, or there used to be. I would say like when I was growing up, a lot of more police brutality and gentrification happened in the past like 5 years, and gentrification being like bigger businesses coming in and taking over the area. And I think that when I moved to Southern California, I think I haven't had I didn't know where to find that Black community when I came in. Because I already had that at my hometown. I knew where to go. I had everyone around me. I've seen a lot of people that look like me. But when I came to CI, I didn't really get that. But I think that it is great about the programs that we have now for incoming freshmen to make sure that they get that awareness of their surroundings, of who's there. Programs like Leo was saying about, I can't remember the name of it, but Leo, can you tell us, please?
African American Transitions Academy.
Yeah. If that was there when I was there, I would felt way more included in terms of finding that knit group of people that look like you. But my freshman experience was great as well, in a way, but I wish I had that. But also another perspective, when I first got my job at the AVP office, when I had our first big meeting, I was really comforted to see that I also had since we are like a diverse department, and that's what we push is diversity, to know, like, for instance, Maya is another fellow Black African American just like me. So I was really comforted to see that, like, oh, I'm gonna work alongside with another sister. Like that really got me. And I was really happy about that. Seeing Tracy, seeing my AVP, Associate Vice President, is a Black male. That really, I swear, I went home, called my mom, I went back to my dorm, Mama, my boss, my other boss, my coworker. Like, I was really hyped about things like that. So I'm so glad that I get to see, like, I've never felt any prejudice at CI towards me. And I feel like it is just such a welcoming community to all races, and specifically to know that we're having more programs to support our races is so great. So, yeah.
So kind of adding on to what Taylor and what Miss Tracy was saying, I've lived in Camarillo for 6 years, going on 7 years now. And yes, the African American population is lower than most other areas that I'm used to. So you definitely do kind of stick out. It is kind of awkward, as Miss Tracy said, but as far as prejudice and discrimination goes, like, I've lived here for so long, I've never experienced that, not once. It really is just a peaceful, welcoming community, not really just Camarillo or CI, but really the whole county as a whole. I feel, because I like to travel to Santa Barbara often, I never feel anything there. I never get discriminated or feel anything like that there either. So as far as the awkwardness goes, it's awkward and it's a little difficult finding the Black community, but once you find it, you're in it and you're good. So I feel like the challenge is not the discrimination, but just finding the community, because there are communities, within the area. The problem really is just finding it. For me, I was able to find it thanks to the AATA, the African American Transition Academy, because I remember attending freshman orientation and I didn't see any people who looked like me at all. There was like just one other girl, and she and I were like together the whole time, and it was just me and her. And I thought that was really unfortunate. I was like, oh, is this what my college experience is going to look like? Just me and, a couple other people hand in hand. But no, the African American Transition Academy showed me that there's a lot of us, and, the community is strong. As Taylor said, I also work in the ROI department, and it is a very diverse department. So my coworker includes Maya, Cortland, it's nice. So when you're in there, it's comfortable, it's good. It's just all about finding it.
For sure. And just to kind of chime in there, so for the African American Transitions Academy, this is a brand new program that we just started last year. So Tracy Johnson, her area, the Student Support and Outreach Programs, this is one of our cool programs, and we're really excited about it. And what it is, it's an academy that's 3 days and 4 nights that we began about a couple of weeks before school starts. And we're looking to push it closer to when the school year begins in the fall semester. And, I won't dive too deep into it, but it's a really cool opportunity for students incoming first-year African-American students, to be able to meet each other, to immerse themselves in our university, our location, our culture, connect with staff, faculty, mentors. So this way, by day one, when they show up and they're moving in, that they already know other, peers. They'll know a couple staff members that they can come and find. I'll never forget, during that first week of school, I had at least 3 or 4 students that came in from the AATA program that came to my office like, hey, Leah, like, I don't know where Bell Tower 2648 is. And I'm like, all right, no worries. Like, let's walk up. I'll show you where it is. And it was really cool. So it's a really exciting program. We're looking forward to having it again. And for any of you listeners who may be interested in that program, definitely feel free to reach out to either Tracy Johnson or myself. We'll provide our contact information afterwards if you want to learn more about that program. So, but yeah, Maya, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Please go ahead, and love to hear your perspective on as a African-American Black person and student here on our campus.
Oh, you're okay. You're good. But on campus, I don't know. I've never really I never had an issue, even like in high school and middle school, I've never had an issue finding people that looked like me. I know we're like very slim and everything, like, slim percentage, but I've never felt like that. For some reason, I've always had like maybe a gravitation towards people. Like, I was able to find them and everything. Like, my best friend that I first met there was Black, and we're basically like sisters. She lives in Chino, and she goes to the Atlanta University there now, but we still talk and everything. And I've never really had that, but Miss Tracy, she was talking about, finding like hair salons and finding different places, for food is kind of hard here in Ventura County in general, but I do know a couple of good Black hair care places, and I do know a good hair salon that helps you with protective styling, your natural hair, straightening your hair, silk presses, all that. So Miss Tracy, you need, I got you. Anyone watching, anyone here, I got you. But
we'll take care of that later.
Yes, yes, shoot me an email. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting because I've always, growing up here, because I live in Oxnard, so I'm close to Camarillo, and I've been here my whole life. So growing up, I only knew like a hair salon that knew how to straighten my hair, and I never really I've had my hair in braids, my natural hair in braids, but I've never had like box braids and passion twists until like last summer I started doing the actual protective styles. And it was just another way for me to connect both to my cultural roots, but also take care of my hair and find out what good hair products and everything my hair, that will benefit my hair and me. And I feel like at CSUCI, like I've said before, I've never felt discriminated against, and I've never felt like I was judged because my hair was in a certain type of style or way, as versus, when I grew up in Oxnard going to high school. But in Oxnard, there isn't any like racial tension. So don't get me wrong. There's not anything like that. You won't go out on the street and then you hear, like anything racial, like racial slurs. You won't hear anything like that. But there are people that are ignorant everywhere in the world. And my best advice for that would to be just to, like Tupac said, keep your head up. It's kind of generic, but it really is true, because those people are very closed-minded and they're very judgmental, and that says a lot about them, not you. So, I mean, you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt. I know it's really hurtful, and it's easier said than done, and it really makes me angry when I see anybody in the world judge anybody of any race. It really makes me angry, but I always have to pull back and see what is the best response for actions like that. Because, if you act out on your anger, which people do, and I totally understand, it's going to be not the best outcome. But basically for CSUCI, they're a very opening, welcoming community. They always find different new types of ways to progress and show progression for different types of students, which is always really nice. So
Sure.
I love it.
No, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's really important to be able to stick together and find that community that you can stand by. Cortland, did you have anything you wanted to add? I saw you unmute yourself there for a second, so I want to give you that.
I know, just everyone said everything I could have possibly have thought. Like everyone has said everything. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I can't even think of anything that hasn't been said.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you go last, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
It's all good. All right, well, as we wrap up this session, I know we just have about a minute or two left here. We definitely want to remain open and keep our lines of communication open to y'all, to any of the listeners today that want to reach out to either Ms. Tracy Johnson or myself or any of the student volunteers here today. If y'all are, willing to share your information, I think all of our information, our CSU CI email addresses and our phone numbers, for Tracy and myself, can be found on our CSU Channel Islands website directory. And just kind of show you where that is, let me go ahead and pop this open here. So listeners, if you want to take a look at the video real quick. So as you can see here, this is our Channel Islands website right here. It's just csuci.edu. And you click on directory right here. Once you click on directory, you can look us up. So I'll just use myself as an example. Son, my name pops up here. You click on that and you can find my email address. My phone number is there as well too, but we're all in a virtual workplace. So email is the best way to reach me. Same thing for Ms. Tracy Johnson as well too. You can find her right here, Director of Student Success and Outreach Programs, amazing supervisor. And her email address can be found right here as well too. And just Cortland, since you're on my screen right now, I'm gonna use you as an example. You're the lucky one. You wanna look up Cortland? Look up Cortland Briggs. Right.
Whoa, there's another one?
Apparently, I don't know. So there's two Cortland Briggs, but this is your email address, right?
Yes,
Cool.
that is me.
Just to give the rest of y'all a platform, so just to make sure we're all on the same page here. So Maya, how can we find you on here? Is it just Maya Mays? All right. And then we also have Taylor here. Taylor not popping up. Where's your name, Taylor? Why are you hiding? Don't see you on here. That's interesting. I've never seen you not listed on here. But what's your email address? How can they find you?
Mine is taylor.duncan598 at myci.csuci.edu. But yeah, that's
interesting.
weird.
And then, right here, we can see as well, too, Angel Marie is actually listed right here. Angel Marie Taylor. Angel Marie Taylor.
Taylor, what did you say your numbers were?
598.
Oh, okay. I thought it was maybe that one. It just had you under Baylor. But no, it doesn't.
No.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for listening, and for Ms. Tracy Johnson, also my student volunteers, say thank you so much for being on this call today and sharing your perspectives. I'm really happy to have you all, and hopefully we'll see you on our campus soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.